Okay, y'all, let's get into the Trump trial today with the Juan Merchan and 10 days left to the inauguration and the fire in LA and the things that's being shown as far as the dark speak with the people escaping and what I've been shown in the 2020 visions, I call it, that happened in 2020. And me and my family went around this nation for about 6 months at the same time, having a personal bankruptcy, intermingle and losing everything, and then living in a camper and moving to the farm that I owned on the business that I had, having to close down that business so we could move into that farm and the 3 buildings in there, and having to live with a compost bucket and all these things for years, and then moving out of that and finally coming back into civilization. As that was a peak in a spiritual time for one aspect that my whole life was kind of built on achieving, then when I got to that, it was kind of all ripped away from me. And then so when I was taken up into that high spot, that happened physically, I guess, looking back, and spiritually, as I heard those trumpets sounding in 2016 and such. And then when that Florida rally and him coming back for that second coming, in a matter of speaking, and the Corona crown being given and all these things, that's when I was taken into the high spot. And I said, this is it. Looking at the wife, Tiffany, and it's just been a ride since then, okay? And I lived my whole life pretty much based on these times, not having kids till a certain time. And when Obama became president, the woman I'm with now, Tiffany, I told her, if it's not this and this by this time, then I'll get married. If it's not this, then we'll have kids and all these things. And then the Obama nation, the end times just wasn't playing out the way the church was teaching. So I had to go off into my own, in a matter of speaking, and figure these things out. And there's different things that stuck out with me since the internet and the millennium and the Y2K and the 9/11 and all these things. And I went down into that truther rabbit hole where things started off as like showing you real conspiracies and stuff in the government, and then it transported you into some hog shit. So and that hog shit's being served up with the Christmas ham that's being cooked right now, and the Hollywood and these fires and such, they're here to tell a story. And as these things are overlapping, it's where the trailers in the movies are going to start and be like, we're living what we're watching, and these are going to freak people out, and they're not going to understand the spiritual times, and it's all been preset, y'all, okay? So the 10 days, the LA fire, they're saying they're getting boxed in, all right? This boxed in is part of going on with Trump being boxed in on the Zoom conference call, and the trial today with the Wanda Fuca. And the Fuca is the cuff on the backside, and the U.S. Marshals, cuff people. So the U.S. Marshals, the Mars, that ties into the Mars, the red planet. Flight risk, the switches on the subwoofer for Back to the Future, blasted against the wall. These types of things are all overlapping a parallel and showing us, those of you who've been following will catch on, but these are for people to go back, okay? This is all for the gathering of the spiritual nation at the first to go into the new heaven and earth that's going to gather through the window, okay? So the Olivet Discourse is going to be served up, And the ETs, the Space Force, all this stuff is going to be playing a role. The switch, the 910 DO, the 945, the 1046, the DO. Trump's thing is saying, hang in there, 10 days on his post today. That's part of the butler, the ear, and the baker with the Joseph, the coat of many colors. The baker is the hanging, and then the hanging's the noose for the lead on the horse, and then the noose, the noosum. So, and then we also see a fire breaking out with a 5 alarm on in New York, the Bronx. It's on a windy day, so this is where they're gonna see the burns in different areas. Okay, and the video I watched today of the woman going through a tunnel and coming out and praying to God, like, it just takes me back, and trying to get out, it just takes me back to when I was driving the first time up to Wyoming. All the numbers are 119, 118, 117, or 911, 811, blah, blah, these kinds of things or whatever, okay? Or the... So I'm driving, I'm like wondering, what the fuck is going on? Am I like driving into danger? Like what is this spirit having me do? Like, what is going on? And then I was with my son driving one vehicle, my wife in another vehicle, because we were taking a few things with us because we weren't planning on coming back. We were planning on going to the woods because I knew what time it was. But at the same time, it wasn't the time. So the Trump channel I mentioned, this is kind of that channel. And this is Juan and John Trump, that mid deal. We're seeing him ascend into heaven, the cloud. This is like a transformation. This is where the Max Hedron can take place, and the MIA, and the MIA is the I am, to where he may not even show up for the inauguration day and these types of things because he's gone behind the glass and where he can't be touched or whatever. And he's trying to avoid these things that are going on that we don't know about supposedly, but that's where the Red Planet and the Wanda Fuca and the Cuffed and the U.S. Marshals and the raids and the Elon Musk sink and all these things are coming into a play. And the thing that we see on the internet, the Netanyahu, the Israels and all these things for the so-called Simpsons 2025 things that it's shown. It has the picture of the dude looks like Trump and all these things. This is all the artists, blessed art thou, and the all art, cartoons or art you see or sculptures or whatever, right? It's all spiritual fed, right? So it's all a type of spirit reading or spirit writing, okay? So these are all telling a story. So this is where the people who understand dark sentencing, dark speak or whatever, can see these things and read these things. And this is where Jesus, who's been given birth inside of all men, if you've gone and seeked after that truth or whatever, and you can start seeing this overlay pattern on all these things, like the destruction is right near you. It's just like the 2025 and the Christmas spirit and the Satan, the Santa and the red, and all these things are going together right in front of you to show you. And that AM anger, the red color, the manger, all right? So the mange is the nair, where you lose your hair, and that Harris and all those things. So we're entering that Merchan, the Chan, the Han, or however you say his name, the Han. The J is the H, so that's the Jan, the Han. The Han is also part of the Enter the Dragon, where you're in that house of mirrors, and he starts having to just break the mirrors to finally figure out where he is, and he brings them out into the hand section, the different claws, all right? So, but he finally gets that spirit in the heart, and that spirit is that Christmas spirit that you're in. And Christmas spirit is from 2025 to 25 on 9/11. Okay, and now that the clock's been figured out, all these things can kind of be intermingled a little better, and we can go into the matrix and look around and see where we're at and see where we've been and see what's ahead of us and see what actors and actresses are on stage and pull it all together. Okay, and the dawn of time, the Mafia King, all these things are going to be played out in a role, whether it's before to line it up or after to bring it all in. Okay, but it's all tied to the pot calling the kettle black, and this is why we have stuff being stored in Ukraine tied to the election, and we got the Red Dawn and the Putin, all these things trying to go in and get these things, and then the Malibu burn, all these things burn out Diddy shit, and evidence on these things, and all these things are playing a role for that double negative, for that Polaroid, or the polar is for that Polaroid and that Santa sleigh, the Polaroid and the double negatives for the pictures that we all used to get back in the day from Fox or whatever, okay? And plus, those companies have probably all that stuff on file too that they developed, all right? So, but we'll see how all these play out in the next 4-8 years. All this is going to be for that that time of Isaac and Isaac and those things, and the Rachel and the Rachel, that shell, that turtle, that crapture, all these things, and the shit's unfolding, the shit's coming out now. Okay, so as these births are given, the pillow and the hill grabber, these things are going to be given birth, and that one is one of this LA fire is the first part of this with Laban and LA band per se. That Laban is the LA burn, but this is going to move people to that east side in a way. So the rise in Phoenix is through the ashes, and that would be with LA, and all those things are overlapping as far as what we've been shown and told. And this is where you're given a half-truth, and you got to take it and extract for those X-Files times and put it all together, okay? So we're going to quit it here because of time, and we'll get into a couple other things.